This also, I guess, is another great example why Doge is needed not only in our federal government, but also at the state level. It's been reported that the Somalia community in Minnesota has been defrauding taxpayers by submitting fraudulent autism claims in order to make more money and send back to their country. This is outrageous, of course. Let's hear it.
Now, it all revolves around Autism and HSS program. That is Minnesota's Medicaid Housing Stabilization Services. Now, this was created to help seniors, addicts, and others find housing. But the criteria to enter this program was incredibly loose and therefore easy to take advantage of. It's led to fraud and costs absolutely exploding. Just 5 years ago, in 2020, costs for this program were $2.6 million. 4 years later, by 2024, costs had been over $100 million, 104. Through the first 6 months of this year, costs are at $61 million, meaning if you double that over the entirety of the year, you're looking at $122 million. In 5 years, from $2 million to $122 million. Now, why? 6 people are accused of defrauding HSS, and they're members of the Somali community. But this just gets worse if we take a look at Minnesota's federally funded autism program. Now, several people, and this is an example, a woman in the Somali community, are co-conspirators, and they're accused of recruiting kids for autism therapy. They brought in families, had them convinced to get their kids diagnosed as autistic. In fact, these families ultimately ended up having various social services bid for their children, competing with the number and size of check that they would get.
Just quickly here, this is one of 2 bombshell fraud announcements coming out of the state of Minnesota regarding how people have been taking advantage of their programs at the state level. So there's massive corruption going over there, all right? That's the first thing. Secondly, $122 million. And this is why, as conservatives, we are needed in leadership. Again, I was saying it the other day, if you allow progressives to be in charge, there is no restraint. There is no restrictions. There's none of that. They're just going to let it all go. And fraud will, continue to expand at an accelerated rate. And that's what we're seeing in Minnesota. These people are not about accountability, law and order, rooting out corruption. That's an afterthought.
It didn't matter if the kids had autism. And what happened? Autism claims to Medicaid surged. In 2018, $3 million. By 2023, listen here, from $3 million to $400 million. Autism providers jumped from 41 to 328 in 5 years. Now, City Journal reports that the Somali fraud rings send a lot of money back to Somalia. 40% of households in Somalia get remittances from abroad. That totals $1.7 billion. That is more than the entire budget of the Somali government. Money being sent abroad, from abroad, back to Somalia. Where is that money going? Take a look at this. Most alarmingly, a lot of that money is funneled through money traders, and in the end, ends up in the hands of al-Qaeda-linked Islamic terror group Al-Shabaab. So to bring this full circle, the Minnesota taxpayers are funneling money through fraudulent autism claims back to Somalia, where that money lands in the accounts of Al-Shabaab.
So needless to say, there's a large corruption scheme happening within the state of Minnesota. And you know who's really funding it? The people of Minnesota with their tax dollars.